And we are back at the Monster Energy DreamHack studio, bringing you the Nordic Championship 2019 summer season. We just watched a Falkn take down Neon Esports from Finland in a very creative
Oof.
fashion, playing around these flippers, playing around these teleports, and sealing the deal finally with a Baron distraction play. What a game, Trouble.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what, Lance Minot? I'm still not convinced about the win that we just saw.
Oh, I
So
agree.
we're gonna have to watch at least one more game, maybe two more games, until we find out which is the better team, at least for this best of three. Because yes, it worked, all right. The backdoor worked, and the talent the talent didn't work as we wanted him to. Like, he wasn't really a big part of why Falcon won this game, because I feel like Yamero did a fantastic job in the mid lane, and Rain next to him, always there, always keeping the vision up. You said that he was so clever with his counter ganks in the mid lane that wherever Skedden was, you saw Rain as well, and he did an incredible job at that. But I feel like it kind of slipped away on that one team fight that we witnessed at the Infernal Dragon, where Kryze was left to his own device in the bot lane, and he takes three towers, including the two Nexus towers, and then
Oh yeah, that was insane.
he completely breaks the game open. And then no matter if Yamero is really fed or not, Falcon had so many ways to play around it, so many TPs, so many backdoors. They had the talent, they had, cries onto the Nico, they had the TP on the Sona. They had so many ways to get back into the base and try to backdoor, and in the end, it was what happened.
Indeed, and as you said, there were some key members here, and the underutilization of the Talon, which you mentioned, I thought was a little bit of an issue in the early game. I feel like Kryze was the point of focus here, where Talon was getting picks for the sake of getting picks and trying to open up, but that only happened later on. I suppose that comes a lot. Uh, to to play into the item power spikes and all of that jazz. But honestly, sending Talon away earlier on, I feel like he sticked around in the jungles and in the mid area, so to
Mhm.
say, for way longer than he really had to, and
So we're
that
talking about
gave
his impact
Neon, yeah,
not being
impact
as
early on.
high. Yeah, okay. I
Mhm.
understand what you mean. I will agree with that. Like, yes, we said that Rain was always there. He was always ready for the counter gank, but it didn't really provide much. And this is where all the objectives come in. I feel like whatever Falcon did, every single move of Skedden, every single move of Darkness, they got a kill or a summoner out of it. And then right after that, an objective followed through. So it wasn't the deal for Neon Esports. They were getting the kills for Yamaru, but then they couldn't necessarily translate these into an objective that would gain them something. Yes, they did have all the pressure on the Corki. They had all the items, the bounties, the gold, everything was on Yamaru, but then they couldn't really translate.
Then again, they did secure 4 dragons
Hmm.
throughout that game, so the neutral objective point is absolutely there, and the fact that they did such a great job moving up their vision, translating into their point of focus at the time. Remember, they put a lot of effort establishing ward control around that dragon area over and over again. So sure, they might not have gotten the pushes and the non-neutral objectives, the siege objectives that they would have wanted, but the neutral objective control was there 100%. And that comes down to, I suppose, how they played around the environment and dodging out on that Kindred zone, that Talon. With Corki, Ezreal, and a Yumi who attaches, there's a lot of maneuverability and slinkiness, as well as that Karma utility to allow you
Oh,
to play around these neutral objectives really well. Now we are into picks and bans, and as we go, the super strong Lux that you and me chatted about a little bit earlier is removed, as well as Camille Cannon once again. This time Yumi, Sona also banned away from Falkn, and Kiana also. That's a first lock in of Aatrox. Now, I adore Aatrox on patch 9.13. His heal is insane. How do you deal with this champion, Trouble?
I mean, how you deal with this champion is you take everything that can heal him or keep him alive even longer. You know, it's a juicy meta when you see 3 heal/shield supports getting banned in the
Oh, they're all
first
gone.
picks and bans phase. Exactly. And Harry's like, oh, guys, everything got banned. Let me grab the last shielding support that there is. Let me grab that budget Yumi/Sona in the face of Karma. Harry
He
decides to go
did play
again
top
with that
though.
Karma. Back to you talking about the Aatrox. I absolutely love the new Aatrox. Like you said, you cannot really deal with the healing, but you know what? Karma top lane with Gauntlet is good against AD fighters, and she's gonna be most likely running that Klepto again. She's gonna get all these shields going. Neon Esports are going for the same exact draft here, except that their Sona has been banned. Falcon, though, they're locking in the Lovers duo lane.
The lovers duo is very real. Zyricon, obviously, a super strong combination if you can lock it in. We oftentimes see teams take Xayah to try to force the enemy team to take the Rakan, or sort of asking them, "Are you willing to do this?" Obviously, it was Falcon who played that Tam Kench last game. Now Neon steals it away, but Neon do secure that Ezreal also for themselves. So a little bit of a switch up. Surely the Tom Kench will go into the support position. And the Karma versus Aatrox top lane matchup is interesting, right? Because surely the Karma can keep the Aatrox at bay
Oh yeah.
and prod him down and utilize these Klepto stacks and just farm up all of this utility. But she's unlikely to rush, say, a Morello. She's unlikely to truly force the Aatrox back. So after a little bit of tankiness, after a little bit of durability that gets onto this Aatrox, he'll be perfectly fine up there, unless we see a switcheroo with Falcon sending in mid lane, which we saw repeated performances on by Eden Fox 2 days ago. So the possibility of Aatrox mid lane is there. We'll have to see how the rest of the pick phase shapes up. But Gragas Kindred removed. Kindred, super important to take away from Huedan.
Oh, definitely. You don't want him playing that type of champion again, even though I don't really think it fits to the composition that Falcon has locked in so far. Like you want to go for something with utility in the jungle, something to force your lanes to get some kills, to put down that scare factor onto Neon Esports. On the other hand, I wanted to put a point down on the Aatrox versus Karma, as an Aurelia gets locked in, most likely for Darkness in the mid lane. He is known to play like Gangplanks, Fioras, all these fighters in the mid lane. So what I was saying is that Karma doesn't necessarily go into the top lane with the Klepto and the Gauntlet to kill someone in the top lane. They go into the top lane to mostly set someone behind. Once you set the Aatrox behind, then he cannot become this super healing, killing machine super early into the game. And as you have seen from the sort of Falcon, they have realized that. They're like, all right, guys, we're going to go for that full late game mode. Their whole composition is late game. You got the Karthus, you got the Aurelia, you've got the hard scaling ADC. Is that a Diana?
It's absolutely a
Oh
Diana
my god.
going into that Irelia, and as I've understood, she's had a cheeky little surge of popularity, but I'm not quite familiar to why she is strong right now. Trouble, do you have some insight on this?
I'm gonna be 100% honest. It's the first time I am seeing the Diana in the mid lane, and I'm pretty sure it's a lot to do with the push potential that you have with the shield. So melee versus melee action, you do have that advantage because you do clear your wave really quickly, and you've got your shield protecting you, which procs twice. So if Aurelia fancies a little trade versus the Diana, you usually win that with the Diana because you've got the third auto attack proc from your passive, you've got the damage coming out of your shield and double shield in the mid lane while clearing the wave at the same time. It's like win, 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 and win scenario for the Diana in the mid.
And she's up against that Karthus jungle also, so there's no real super hard punishment that can come out of the jungle position from Skeden there. That Karthus with the Wall of Pain isn't necessarily going to make you have the worst time at all as a Diana when you're automatically pushing that lane, and you do have that Rek'Sai to assist you through most of these thick walls also. So a little bit of a shake up in the draft here. Diana, I'm super excited for this pick. Actually, it's Diana Irelia. That's gonna be so brawly. They're gonna be all up in each other's business. And where do you
I
think they'll
love
send it later on, though?
Oh, I
Oh,
love I love the fact I'm like tingling my fingers with each other right now. And I'm like, I love that Rain has gone for the Hail of Blades Rek'Sai. You know, you're picking the Diana in the mid lane. You have to assist her somehow. You have to get her ahead. You have to get her to that one shot potential. You heal the Q, you go in with the ultimate, and somebody instantly dies. And as you can see, the whole team of Falkn right here is a late game team, which means they're all super squishy in the early to mid game. And you know what? Diana is so strong in the midi. You get one item onto you, Diana. You do have that one shot potential. So what Neon Esports has done here is they're keeping yet again their bot lane really safe. They're trying to push back the Aatrox by picking the Kama into the top lane, so you keep him at bay, and then you invest everything into Yameru once again. He was the person that popped off in the previous game. He was the person that if somebody was going to carry you through that game, that was Yameru. And yet again, I believe everything is in for Yameru. I don't know if I'm going to agree with the Karma pick purely because at from some point and on, you can't really stop the Aatrox. You were right. Like, he becomes this healing beast and one-shots everyone he hits you with a third Q. But for starters, if you can get the Diana ahead, then you roam her up the top lane with Rek'Sai, it's good game. On the other hand, if you're Falcon and you play ultra safe, you would everything. You keep your vision up, you play safe, then you can move into the mid to late game where all these champions shine. You get 3 items onto your Zarya. Look on the other side. You can kill everyone. Zarya is one of the best anti-assassin ADCs. So once Diana jumps in and Zarya ultimates, then she's really prone to getting CC'd by the Rakan and killed on the spot. So while Falcon is looking to go all the way as far into the late game as possible, pop that Requiem and then have, Namex cleaning up space, Neon Esports, on the other hand, they want that early game pressure. And this is where the Rek'Sai comes in.
And that Zaya being so great against the assassins and the roaming potential of Diana Rek'Sai, it's exactly what you say, right? They want to get into this mid stage of the game. They want to get that outplay button on Karthus fully functioning and having him be comfortably farmed up in
Mhm.
the jungle side. So the onus is really on Neon here. Have the Rek'Sai, get Diana ahead, and then utilize as best you can. Absolutely abuse this early game karma versus Aatrox as far as humanly possible, and then hopefully run away with the game before Falcon has enough time to scale into a comfortable stage of the game.
And let's have a little look-see, now that we are in game, at the possibilities of Rain roaming around on his Rek'Sai. You've got Harry in the top lane with the Karma. You can push back Cries, instant lane prior. You have Yameru with a W start, well, presumably a W start, on the Diana, pressuring the lane against an Aurelia who doesn't have the best clear early game. So you've got Din Din, double lane prior, and Rain usually wants to move around top and mid lane to get them ahead, which means you can catch Skeden into his own jungle and you instantly have double lane prior. Skedden is going to start bot side, which means by the time he's towards the top side, then you do have double lane prior in your mid lane and top lane, and Ren can move into the enemy jungle without any fear of the enemy solo laners, closing in on him.
And a Karthus for sure does not do well against a Hail of Blades or Rek'Sai. That Rek'Sai is gonna take a big shot at denying Quaden as much as he can, and he has the tools to do so. So if Haru and Yameru can establish these lane dominant priorities, as you say, then Quaden is mincemeat at the side of the blade. Actually, mid lane, we have a little bit of a cheeky fight and an early close look at what is to come. Now, Darkness, how does he have to play this lane then? You said that Irelia doesn't necessarily have the best wave clear. So against this Diana, surely you have to go for quick trades before Diana can get that third auto attack on. What do you say?
The problem here is that you have to stack your Conqueror as Irelia to go in. Oh, wait a second though. Skedden is in the mid lane. He might be fancying. I think they're scared that Rain is going to come towards the mid lane. But
they
this is not
are,
going to be the case.
But that's a proactive decision by Quaden to go in for the Wall of Pain.
Ooh, I love this.
Slapped it onto Yameru. But
check
hang
out
on
Rain.
just a second.
He's cleared his whole jungle. Level 3. And now he can move freely into the jungle because look at the pressure Haru has in the top lane. Look at the pressure that Yameru has in the mid lane. If he wants right now, he can literally go towards Skedden in the jungle. Oh,
he's not doing it. He's focusing mid lane instead. He's going to go for the flash forward. No, he's not. So he's utilizing all of this pressure that you've been talking about. Yameru with that mid priority and is not abusing it to push into the jungle. Instead, he uses it to try to gank an Irelia that's pushed up into his turret almost. Perhaps a questionable decision there by the Neon jungler.
Oh, definitely. Skedden would have been without a blue buff because you saw him in the mid lane. You saw he only has the red buff on him. So his blue buff is still up for the taking. You've left him right there. He's gotten the scuttle crab in the top lane. You had so much pressure from Haru and Yameru right there that you have to absolutely use it to your advantage. We might be having a 1v1 here.
Yeah, actually, Rain gets the scuttle crab there. Quaden tries to get the jump in, but can't quite manage. Instead, we have a top fight. Haru and Kryze testing the waters. They're dipping their toes in it to see how warm it is. Meanwhile, Darkness is actually caught out by Rain and Yameru, but that's going to be all she wrote because Quaden is right around the corner. And I want to just rewind for a second. You're so correct in saying that Quaden only had the red buff, and he even telegraphed this. Hang on, actually, Darkness goes into Yameru. Rain still has flash should he need it, but that's an easy first blood. Wait, Quaden flashes in, but forces the flash onto Yameru and donates a kill over to that Rek'Sai. Rain now 2-0 and dodges out on the Skittles. Is not feeling a sugar craving today, and goes out of that mid lane gank with 2 kills on his name.
Darkness right there, underestimating the damage that comes out of Yameru's Diana. He's like, I'll be alright, I'm proccing my Conqueror, and I also have Ignite, but on the other side, Yameru does have Ignite on the Diana as well. He has the double shielding, a lot of burst with the third auto attack, and then basically donated there 2 kills to Rain that can now do absolutely whatever he wants towards the top side of the map. Bottom side of the map is a little bit too safe, I would say, to try and get anything done. Maybe with a tongue lash from Tiara, maybe you can get something going right there, pull some flashes, but literally mid lane is ready and set for you. There's still a flash on Rain, so a flash knock-up could mean yet another kill. Level 5 on Yameru. Wait until Yameru is level 6 so he can jump onto the Irelia and repeat the gank now that this Irelia is in the mid lane flashless. Oh, Skedden!
Quaden comes in again. Darkness engages the fight, but here is that flash for Rain there coming in, but he actually dies. He bit off way more than he can chew. It's the damage from Quaden and Darkness combined that forces Rain to go down. He severely underestimated their damage. Lancer goes in for a knock-up down, but it doesn't lead to anything. So Rain seeing all of this pressure that he's managed to capitalize on in the mid side by killing off both Quaden and Darkness before, he wants more, gets a little bit greedy, does not have the follow-up by Yameru there, and instead dies for it. But you can really see where the focus is. I mean, well, bot lane, there's some action going on bot lane, but I don't think anything's going to come from that. No, not at all. Just chunking the HP bar from Alistair a little bit. But again, I don't get a chance to catch my breath. There's Rain. I was just about to say, we see just where Rain's focus is, because for 2 games in a row, he's been all up in Darkness's business, trying to make him as useless as humanly possible, and to some extent, he's succeeding. But there's still a CS lead for Darkness, however. So, I mean he's doing his best.
Yeah, it's the only gankable lane right now, to be honest with you. I mean, he's lost completely the window before level 6 to gank the bot lane, so now they are undiveable as a Xayah Rakan duo. This is very dangerous to dive them. So what are you gonna do? Darkness has no flash. Well, maybe we should punish him even more. He's sitting on the Aurelia. Aurelia is super strong late game. Their entire comp is super strong late game. So what are we gonna try to do? Feed Yameru. He goes into the mid lane, grabs 2 kills for himself, underestimates the damage he can do, I would say, on the next gank, and then gives 1 kill back. Bot lane though,
yeah, there's some brawling going in bot side. Quaden is coming in for a potential counter here in case Rain shows up, but there is that bot lane ward that Neon Esports placed earlier on in the left side brush, which will negate any pressure that Quaden can accumulate here. But Rain is top side, and there's the Aatrox ultimate from Rek'Sai. It's so free. Kryze dies at the hands of the burrowing Void monster. Rain picks up a 3rd.
Kryze literally cries after what happened to him. Haha, pants for you, these were for free. Alright, so this is obviously great play by Rain. He knows exactly what he needs to do on that super fed Rek'Sai. Grab another blue buff away from Skedden. Set him behind. Remember, this is post-nerf Karthus. The ultimate does not do as much damage as it did before a couple of patches. So he needs to scale even longer for these Requiems to have proper impact in team fights. So what are you doing? You're setting back the Aatrox, you're setting back the Aurelia, and you're stealing away everything from Skedden, who has been caught.
Yeah, the river is surely where Quaden feels the most comfortable, it seems, but it's inappropriately so, because he gets picked off again, and now it's a 2 versus 2 between Darkness, Lannister, and Rain, and Yameru, but it's Yameru who dies. It's a continued 3 versus 2 now. Flash forward by Darkness, gets the crucial pickup, and the Kryze is trying to fish for more, but surely Tiara will be able to get away. Haru does not move down in time, and that's several kills going over for Falkn. Even translate this into a couple of plates, and will perhaps on the way out even be able to establish some bot side dragon ward control.
I'm loving the early roam from Lannister. He was there right in time. Kryze fancy some back and forth with Haru, but not much gonna happen there. But I love how early Lannister was there, so much earlier than Tiara, even though Tiara does have the journey if he wanted to use that. Didn't seem to want to though at this position. So Rain goes down, Yameru goes down, and it seems like even though they do have the early game pressure, they're not really keeping in mind that they could get pinched in by sides. Haru did not have the priority at this point in the mid lane, so you saw Kryze coming down the river super early as well, and that was a 4v2 before Tiara ever got the chance to get anywhere near.
A little bit of lull in the action coming in now. That was indeed a beautifully played fight by Falkn, getting their members in.
Again, mid lane.
Away. Oh, mid lane. There's no break on this train, but I don't think Darkness is pushed up far enough for anything to happen now. And even so, Quaden is waiting in the wings also. So I think the action is going to calm down for a bit. But absolutely, the proactiveness from Falkn is translating off of the previous game also. Yes, we talked a little bit about Rain coming in for the mid side, right? But Falkn was very proactive with their decisions when it came to team-wide ones. And it's showing here too.
They've been spotted. They've been spotted doing the Rift Herald here by the Pixel Bush Ward, which was not pink warded, and now it's turned around,
Yeah.
and it is Falkn that's gonna be grabbing Shelly for themselves. 11 minutes into the game, this could very well be used, like you said, pre-minute 14 to grab some free turret plating and free gold for any of your laners. Oh, Lannister though.
Yeah, he's going in for an engage onto Azitor here, but I don't think
Wait.
the TP is going to be well enough to dissuade this. But Haru perhaps overcommitting there with the defensive play, or the dissuading play, I should say. But at least they can go for that Ocean Dragon. But this leaves Kreis all alone, or perhaps they're going to even try a dive if they fancy it. But you see Haru immediately recalling, so surely a little bit of a miscommunication again, don't you think?
I think the idea behind that teleport from Haru was so he could flank them if they wanted to pick a fight with Azita, get him low enough and pop the Requiem, where it turns that they have one less member from your Esports. Oh, Skerin
cheeky
is
smite
actually
away.
gonna cheekily, like you said, smite the red buff away from Rain. Well, rightfully so, it was his own red buff to steal away, right? So,
I guess.
might have some shenanigans at Drake though.
Yeah, some action coming in here. There's a 1v1 going in on the top side. Lannister catches out Tiara, but look at the damage from Yameru. It's enough with the Ignite running. Tiara forced to stop watch, but it is a 2 versus 3 still. Darkness is doing his absolute best, and they're picking up multiple members. Meanwhile, Schweden flashes in, has the Requiem available, multiple low health targets, but none go down to it. Rain actually survives with just like 10 HP or something like this.
Wait.
But that's a 3-4-2 in favor of Falkn. So they're going to be happy with this one. And the Aatrox trouble is continuing to split push up top after taking down Haru.
I was about to say, he's not just continuing to split push, he manly killed Haru on a 1v1 in the top lane because I have the thought that Haru was trying to TP. No, I'm sorry, he TP'd back down there, but he was trying to run towards down the river to try and join the team. And Kreis was like, you ain't going nowhere. He kills him and manages to grab not only the tower, but the tower pre-minute 14. That means with all the turret plating gold that comes with it, Haru tries to do a little bit back and forth now that the content is completed. Shelly's gonna be popped in the mid lane as well, pre-minute 14, and this could get even more turret plating.
Yeah, this could be ugly here in the top side. Haru is taking some serious damage here. He's trying to deny Kreis' back, but I don't think he wants to prod too hard onto this angry demon Blade Master. Haha. Up in the top side. But he does force the back nonetheless. But Kreis' TP will be available. He's walking up top side. Will have TP available for a potential dragon fight here. But I think he will want to hold on to that one because I just don't think that despite the amount of members Neon has around Dragon, they can really pull it off without the TP available from Haru. Flash forced mid lane on Darkness.
It feels like at this point there's not enough damage, but wait a second, Ray has been caught again.
Yeah, Lancer with the quickness, but there's no follow-up, right? The team just isn't there. You're playing alongside an Irelia who was clearing boards or clearing minions mid lane, and a Karthus. Karthus isn't gonna gap close in any way, shape, or form. Instead, it's the dragon that's being started. But the TP is coming in from the right side. Lancer dashes in, but Rain does secure the dragon. Here comes Yamaru, he's on to 2. Darkness is surely dead as the second kill of the game. And Rain doors out with the ultimate, but it's already a 2-for-2 in this fight. Flash forward by Kreis, but Azitor with the Arcane Shift comes in. Lancer is happy to finish it off, though. It's a double kill for the Falcon support. And the dragon was secured during all of this by Neon.
Oh boy, and it's all falling apart because Rain gets caught into the pit and Yameru jumps and kills off the Karthus super quickly, but the beautiful stun from Darkness keeps him right in the pit of the Karthus that's dead. And guess what, guys? He stays alive and he still does damage then. So they managed to get Yameru and Rain down while they're both trying to kill off Darkness on top of the already dead Skedden that still does a lot of damage. So that Death Cap Diana, yes, she has the one-shot potential. We saw it on Skeddens, literally jumped on him and one-shot him in one QR combo. But then after that, there was nothing more. She just melted because there is no defenses. 3 members down, though, they want Darkness dead.
Yeah, Horror is in a pickle for sure, or I should say Darkness is in a pickle, as he's caught out with Horror trying to bait him in, but can't quite manage. So, don't you think that this Death Cap Diana is just a little bit greedy? That fight could have very well played out differently if he had some sort of defensive item in there. Meanwhile, bot lane. Tiara's caught out between Kreis and Hueden. Surely that's Tiara dead. And another, or the first kill of the game actually for Hueden. I was surprised because Hueden's been laying down so much pain. That's actually his first kill of the game. And actually just straight up doesn't stop. Haru flashes away, but there is that Requiem. Ignite is taking also from Darkness, and it's Darkness who picks it up. Possibly a double kill here, but the tunnel by Rain is gorgeously set up as an escape route.
And I feel like Neon Esports is lacking so much consistent damage. Your Ezreal is nowhere near to put the pain down because he needs at least 2 to 3 items to start shining as a champion. Yes, Yamaru does have the one-shot potential, but then look at that. Trinity Force already completed. That's a Black Cleaver on the Aatrox in the top lane. And you've got all of this HP being built, HP being built from the side of Falkn, trying to stay alive against Yamaru's Death Cap Diana. And once that Diana goes in, if that one person survives, then you can just lay down the pain onto Yamaru, and then there's no one else that does the same amount of damage as Yamaru. So I feel like they're really missing the consistent damage here. Had there been a Sevilla maybe in the bot lane for Azita, had there been a different top laner, maybe you could have grabbed the Aurelia for yourself and put it up in the top lane for Haru. It would have been, you know, a different situation. Some champion that does a little bit of consistent damage, especially in the mid game, it's really needed because your Ezreal right now, yes, he pokes, but he mainly tickles. Look at the score of this Aurelia, look how far ahead she is, all the gold, you know, all the items, the Aatrox that was meant to be pushed back now has a Hex Drinker on him, so the only potential for assassination is on Skedden, and he doesn't really even care. He will get assassinated, he will use the Requiem and all of his other damage abilities even when he's dead for a couple of seconds, so the damage will be done whether he's dead or alive.
Do you think they need the consistent damage though, or is the answer perhaps to switch up how they're approaching this game instead of going for these big fights?
I don't think right now there is a way you can switch up the game, especially because Haru is losing versus Kreis, and that was the 1v1 we pointed a little bit at the start. We said, okay, Haru is there solely for the fact to keep Kreis at bay. Well, guess what? Kreis has already been unleashed. Alright, so there is no way for Haru to keep him at bay anymore. He cannot even lane against him at this point. So you can see that Haru is going to whichever lane Kreis is not in. You saw that Darkness was in the top lane and Haru started going towards there. He'd rather go versus the Aurelia than the Aatrox right now because it's a really hard matchup for Haru. So the only person that has any sort of damage left is Yamaru, and he's super squished. And with a Rakan, it is so hard to play a one-man carry team because when that one-man carry gets perma-CC'd, by Lannister's Rakan, well then you've kind of lost all your damage. Like we said, the Ezreal is nowhere near yet. He's got the Mana Moon, not converted into a more mana yet.
And there it is actually, right as you say, it transforms.
Right as I said it.
Yeah, and that's also Falkn securing that Inferno Drain. It's going to be
1v1.
huge for them, but Rain thinks he's in a 1v1, but he's actually in a 1v3, and that's him getting picked off by that monstrous Unleashed Aatrox. Indeed, but Yamaru has that one-shot potential to take out Hueden. However, finds himself right on top of the Karthus dead DPS, and Darkness has enough to finish him off and equalize even further, and in fact tip it into an advantage for Falkn. Man, Hueden just has impact no matter what you do versus him. It doesn't matter if you burst him, does it?
Exactly. exactly. It doesn't matter because even when he's dead, he's just gonna poke Requiem. And look at him now. He's got Orb. He's got his jungle item completed. He's most likely, typically going towards a little death cap for himself. He's like, guys, I'm gonna die anyway, so I might as well make sure I get the death cap. I put the damage down with Requiem, and good luck, have fun for the rest of the fight. I'm 1-5, but I'm still winning. Haha, because I can do damage even when I'm dead. So yes, you can say Yamaru here is doing really great assassinating Skaden, but that's because he cannot really do it anymore to anyone else. So it's looking really grim right now for Neon Esports and what they can actually do to get back into the game. Because we said it from the start, once Falkn hits the late game, ugh, really, really tough times for Neon Esports.
It's going to be rough. And with all these things considered, you still have that slow scaling Zaya that you mentioned in the pick and ban phase, who will be completely ignoring your Yamaru Diana pick in that mid side. It doesn't matter how much burst Yamaru packs, if Namex will be able to free hit. And remember, Diana is not the most mobile of champions. Once she goes in, she stays in.
She stays there. Yeah.
And Namex will surely be able to pummel down and lay down the pain. He's coming online anytime now for sure.
The only problem is here that you could argue that Tiara can stay close, possibly, devour Yamaru, pull him back, and then he can, reset again with his QR combo. But then if you get Tiara so far into the fight, and here we have again
Topside fight. Darkness finds himself in between two members again.
Oh my God.
And Rain. Oh, he almost finds it. Wait, the Ignite is taking Yamaru surely will go down here. He finds the kill in the 1v2. Lannister catches Rain and Cries TPs in, gets that pull in. There's the Requiem. I don't think Rain's gonna die here. He is! That's enough damage actually to pick up the second kill of the fight. And Falkn are pushing under the turret, but Lannister will dash away and reset a little bit there. Moving towards the Baron, do you think it's a realistic objective for them now?
Oh, 100%. I mean, yes, you do have a little bit of poke coming out of your Ezreal. There is no real steal threat other than the True Shot Barrage, and there's not really... There you go, True Shot Barrage is down. I don't see any way of Neon being able to steal this. They might try to poke, but I don't think it's going to matter much. Tiara is going to flash in!
What? Why? Tiara just straight up goes for it.
He has the smite.
Yeah.
He's running the spellbook, and he swapped.
That's good.
He swapped to the smite just to flash in and try to steal. Clever thing from Tiara to do right there. There was also the blast cone.
Yeah, the blast cone was used, and that's Haru going down also, and things are looking well for Falkn. They pick up a couple of kills on the way out. Cheeky little attempt there by Tiara. Ooh, Yamaru just barely not catching that recall there. So nice attempt by Tiara, but it is Falkn who are going to pick up that Baron. And how do they utilize this though? Do they send Cries to a side lane now and to just try to force an answer from Yamaru perhaps?
I don't think so.
Or do they just go full mid?
Exactly. They just play the ARAM game. They have the means to do that. At this point, they have the means to dive if they want to, because the only person that's going to save you from a dive is Tiara's Tamkent, and that Tamkent is nowhere near tanky to withstand Requiem, Darkness's Aurelia, that Aatrox running in on you. Oh my goodness.
Quaden once again. I mean, if you kill him off like this, and there's no actual fight or response, but then again, the response is there, and that's Namex coming online. As we said earlier, Darkness pick up the second kill. It's now on a killing spree, and with two members dead, Yamaru and Tiara, there goes that safety of the Tom Kench, and Cries is free pushing, and surely Falkn, with this 3-man unit now, will be able to amplify that mid lane threat that already existed.
I think this is the first time we witnessed how much damage Zaya does in this game, because Namex was not really even needed to put down any damage. He was just there to take the Baron because everything had been taken care of before he even had to get into the scene. So he's like, oh look guys, I grabbed 2 kills as well. Look, I can do damage. So I don't know if it's time to say that this is pretty much untenable, but I would say it would be it would be really tough. Yes, here Rain secures the Infernal Dragon, but at what cost?
And that is Darkness versus Yamari once again. It seems to be these two going head to head over and over again, but that's a 2 versus 2 that they cannot win. Kryze is just way too
Oh, he wants
strong. Now
more.
finds Azitor.
Oh, the
Azitor
flash!
slashes away. There's the grand entrance to knock him up, and this time it's Darkness. A switch of show. It's now the Falcon mid laner who's seemingly unstoppable, and Haru completes the full ace for Falcon, and this should surely be the base soon to fall.
Oh, 100%. And Falcon had one strategy. They went with a plan. They completely smashed all plans Neon Esports had, and they ran away with 2-0 win over Neon Esports. What? What a
Yeah,
second game! 26
what a
minute
second
victory.
game. Yeah, that's a statement if I ever saw one. At least later on in the mid side of the game, right? Because we saw Yamaru run away with it kind of early. Eventually, Kreitz was strong enough to come in. And be that powerhouse Aatrox that we predicted, and obviously it didn't matter how many times they killed off Hueda because he's still that Karthus, and it's all the Darkness show. Honestly, a gorgeous showing for Falcon in the second game to close out the series 2-0. A statement against Finland. It's on.
Oh, it's definitely on. And we said we were expecting to see Neon Esports against, one of the better competitors in the championship, such as Falcon, because they are really a strong team and they showed it here. And even if we slightly doubted them, in the first game, we said, yeah, Falcon, they won the game, but we scratched our heads a little. It was a little bit questionable. They had the right mindset, they had the right strategy, but the decision making lacked a little bit there. They were hesitating, they weren't all following each other. In the second game, they put their minds together, they completely reset their mindset. They're like, look, this is our strategy. This is how we're going to play our game. They did, and they absolutely smashed Neon Esports.
They seem to be so good at identifying exactly what their win conditions are and playing accordingly as a team. So it doesn't seem to really matter if they fall behind in one lane or so due to either priority early. You spoke about Karma versus Aatrox. You spoke about Diana versus Irelia, and even with Yamaru snowballing due to the range pressure, it doesn't necessarily seem to matter against this team because they're so good identifying exactly what they need to do to win the game as a team, and that's gorgeous to watch. Honestly, beautiful League of Legends coming in from Falcon, and that closes out the series. Falcon 2-0s the Finnish Neon Esports, and that will leave us with the match completed. We will be up. With more League of Legends action once we come back from these ads. Do not go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you then.